hopefully doing this readathon will find me some amigas, cheetahs, friends for life. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking you through my February TBR, which has been decided for me by the Battle of the Girl Bands readathon. This readathon is run by Rainy from Rainy Blue Reads. She did this last year with the Battle of the Boy Bands, but this year it is all about the girl bands, and I have chosen to take part with Team Cheetah Girls. The captains for this team are Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, Nell from Nell Diamond, and Julie from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. And they've got some really great videos for books that you can read for all of the prompts that you want to take off. You will see some pretty chunky books that are coming up here, but that is because you only need to read 4 of the books on your own TBR before you can start stealing from other teams. And I feel like if I have a full set of 10 laid out in front of me, I have more than enough choice that I know what I would like to read, I know what fits into where, and then I can just play around with whatever I need. So I have got something for every single prompt that Team Cheetah Girls has got, but I do not know as of now which 4 it is that I'm going to take off, but I have got options. The first prompt is to read a book with a cat on the cover, and I have gone for The Split by Laura Kay. This is going to be my 3rd Laura Kay book, but it is her debut, so I am very much working backwards with this one. This book follows Ali, who breaks up with her live-in girlfriend, goes back to Sheffield where she came from, meets up with her childhood friend, and also steals her ex-girlfriend's cat Malcolm in the process. I've heard some really great things about this one. I know that Laura Kay's writing style works for me, so I am genuinely really excited to get this one ticked off. Next up is a book with any animal on the cover, and you have to have a different book for every prompt, so I couldn't double up with this one. So I have chosen My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Friedrich Bachmann. This is, I think, going to be my 4th or 5th book by him, and I have been blown away by his writing every single time. I am not entirely sure what this one is about, but I have got a copy of it on my Kindle, and it's definitely one that has been lingering on there for a little bit longer than it should have been. So let's see if I can get this one done too. For a book that is set in New York, I am going with The Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. I haven't read anything by Tia Williams before, but I am genuinely so excited for this one because I've heard really great things about her writing. This is obviously about Ricky Wilde, who is the child of a huge socialite family in the southern states, and she heads off to New York to kind of make a name for herself, to strike out on her own. And she finds this tiny little basement apartment which is really near a florist. Ricky herself wants to own a flower shop, so she feels like this is kind of fate giving her a hand here. But she bumps into a handsome stranger who happens to be one of her neighbours, and sparks starts to fly between the two of them. For a highly anticipated book, I have chosen Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, and there is another reason why I've chosen this one. This one is part of Charlotte from Books and Bargains monthly book club, and she's going to be reading this with Amelia from Amelia Barlow Books. And there is going to be a live show in the middle of February about this, and I really want to be able to watch it and take part in it and have a discussion with them. So this one is a kind of a higher priority than any of the others, purely because it's one that I'm going to be able to interact with. This one is about Elizabeth, who is a chemist and who I think has lost her job at the beginning of the book. And she's also had a couple of really traumatic things happening in her life, but she is brought onto a TV show as its resident chemistry expert, and her whole life really starts to change then. I know that this is set in about the 1960s, so I'm really interested to see what the kind of social mores and what the values of people are going to be like back then. I'm really interested to see what this one is about. I've heard so much buzz about this book that I think it's just time to get it read. I had to justify my pick for a cover that screams at you in the Sheen chat, and the reason that I have chosen this one is because it screams dark and moody and all those vibes, but also the author's blurb at the back really gives me the vibe of this person is so much younger than you and so much more successful. What have you been doing with your life? It is going to surprise quite a few people. It is going to shock quite a lot of you that I am planning to pick up Babel by R.F. Kuang in February. It is Brittany's host favourite for the readathon, so it is going to get extra points. It is significantly chunky. I think it's nearly 540 pages, and I've heard that it's really good to read it as an immersive read. So if you're reading the physical book and listening to the audiobook at the same time. This is set in a society in Oxford in, I think, the 1840s, the 1800s at some point. And this is about a group of students who are learning languages and who are linguistic experts. And that is an area that I am actually interested in. I love languages. I love learning languages. I love learning about languages. I always wish that I had done a language course in university, but I did journalism instead. So this is my chance to kind of live vicariously through them. I know that R.F. Kuang's writing works for me because I've read Yellowface and I loved it. But this is going to be another step up for me because I have never read and enjoyed a dark academia or a fantasy book, but I enjoy historical fiction. So let's see how it goes. For a new author to me, I am going to go with Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. This is a YA book, and I don't generally tend to reach for YA anymore, but I have a reason for doing this one as well. In my 12 books from 12 friends for 2024 video, Alex from Pucks and Paperback told me that this is the one that I should pick up at some stage throughout 2024. And it felt like if it's a YA romance, February was the right time to do so. I am not entirely sure what this book is about. I'm going into it relatively blind, but from the title, I can imagine that this is something about imagining what the perfect partner for you would be like and finding them, and then things start to actually go wrong. For a BIPOC or LGBTQ author, I have gone with Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly, who is a non-binary author. I have absolutely loved their debut book, Love and Other Disasters. I read it in the summer of 2022 and it completely blew me away. But when I got a copy of Something Wild and Wonderful from NetGalley, I didn't reach for it last spring, and I feel like that is the right time to read this book. It is set on the Pacific North Coast Trail, and I feel like if it's on that kind of weather atmosphere, the weather outside needs to be a little bit better than what I was experiencing it when I read it in October, November of 23. It just didn't match up. As I've said, this book takes place on the Pacific North Coast Trail, and it follows Alexi and Ben, who go out onto the trail and find each other. One of them is in a pretty precarious position as the book starts, and then they kind of bump into each other now and then across the trail when they weren't necessarily expecting to do so. I'm so interested to see what this book is going to be like, because I think most, if not all of it, actually does take place on the Pacific North Coast Trail. So let's see how that's gonna go. For a book starting with C, I have gone with Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I've had this one on my shelf for a while, and I have seen some really great things about this one, and I think I just want to get it ticked off by now. Cleo is 24 years old, and Frank is in his 40s. He is significantly older than she is, but they have just recently gotten married, so I think this is kind of going to be like, what is it like to be in such a May-December romance? What is their marriage going to be like when they are in such different parts of their lives, such different areas of their situations? I'm really interested to see how that is going to go. I think as well this also takes place in New York City, so it could have fit in for either of those prompts, but I'll see which one I can take it off for. For a book that has either step, girl, party, or together in the title, I have gone with Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. Never read an Elle Kennedy book before, so it does also fit in with the new author prompt. It's also going to be the start of another new series, which I don't technically need at the moment, but it is a series that I've had my eye on for 2024, and I want to see if Elle Kennedy's writing works for me. I know that there are so many other series that Elle Kennedy has written. She also has The Deal, which is a kind of an ice hockey relationship thing. She also has a couple of standalones that I have got my eye on and that I've got copies of from NetGalley. So I want to see if Elle Kennedy's writing is going to work for me before I can jump into any of those. A bit of a strange one for a possible unhaul, and with a reason for the possible unhaul, is All the Fields by Olivia Dade. If this does not work for me, I am going to bring it back to my parents' house in Ireland, leave it there, and when I go back to my parents' house at different points of the year, I will try and reach for it again. This is going to be my second time trying to read it because I picked it up first during the Amazing Readathon last August, and the time for the prompt basically ran away from me, so I didn't actually get it finished. But now that I don't have that time constraint, now that I don't have anything hanging over my head that I need to finish this, I'm hoping that that will just give me that little spur on that I need. Those are the books that I would love to help me tick off every single prompt for the Team Cheetah girls in the Battle of the Girl Bands readathon. Are you taking part in this readathon, and what team are you on for it? If you would love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me one of the cat emojis. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.